Yo, what it do? We back again. Once again, it's the incredible, the incredulous, the big Mexicans.
Those are my favorite words all in a row.
And a nigga.
Damn. But yeah, man, we back again after another beautiful round of technical difficulties. I have yet another look. So I don't know. Let's see if this one
It's
sticks.
late. It's late. What we do late?
This freaking camera, man. I can't get my computer to recognize my camera, like, and it only messes up like when I try to set up a StreamYard. I think it's like a StreamYard thing. Like,
Yeah, I was trying new software to stream one day, and they wouldn't take my GoPro. Some shit just don't fuck with it, no matter what you do.
yeah, it hurts my soul, but at least my
Mhm.
soul is a strong soul. You heard?
And then you Google the shit out of it, and there's nothing.
Yeah, facts. Yo, on Netflix, there's this thing. I don't even know what it's called, but it's just basically like about ancient Rome, and it's fire, bro. I gotta come with the name, but if you see it, like it's like one of the new things that popped up. It just basically takes you through like the saga of like different emperors in Rome and like kind of how they came to power and how they fell.
Mhm.
It's pretty dope. I
You want to
know.
talk to them one day?
I will when the aliens come scoop me up. I'm going straight to ask Julius Caesar. I'll be like, "Hey Julius," and he'll be like, "Hey, what it do?" I'll be like, "Hey, my friend Joe doesn't care that you existed," and then he's just gonna hit you with the laser beam. At least I'm on the right side, bro. I'm on the alien side.
Hmm.
Yeah, you remember Independence Day? All them people went to the top of the building thinking the aliens was gonna take them with them, and then they all just got blasted. That
Nah,
was a
never happened.
Yo,
Yeah, all the people came up with their little signs. They went to the top of the roof in one of the like high-rise buildings, and they were showing the signs to the spacecraft that was above it.
Oh yeah. It was shorty with the black hair.
Yep, and the thing opened and let out the freaking Kamehameha on all of them, bro.
Yeah. That was a good movie. I think that's how it really will happen with the aliens. What I was trying to get at, if you ever really found out the secrets of this world, like first of all, you special. If you were to find out, but what you gonna do with it? Ain't nobody gonna believe you. What you gonna do with the information?
So-
Does that just satisfy your soul knowing it? Like, what would you truly do?
I'm gonna look like that meme of the guy that's like,
You know what I'm saying?
so this is my thing. Why is that your spin on it? Nobody was talking about knowing the secrets of the world.
No, just to be curious about it means you would like to know one day. Yes or no?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to know the secrets of the world. I just like to hear about what happened in the past. You know what I'm saying?
But allegedly,
What are you talking about? Because I'm talking about what actually happened in the past. Like, I'm not speculating on like any aliens or anything like that. Like, the thing I'm watching about Rome is just straight like factual things. You know what I mean? And same.
says who?
Oh, so you're saying that that's
I
okay?
if you
Okay.
didn't live through it, you're just choosing to believe those are facts. Facts are facts, yes. But that was reading the scripture. There's scriptures that nobody can read, the scriptures in the Vatican of shit that nobody else knows about. Those are the scriptures that are out, that were released that everybody chooses to believe are facts.
I get what you're
"Oh, Joe, you
saying.
saying slavery never happened, bro?"
No. Slavery, yeah. There's
Dang.
visual evidence of slavery.
Gaslight Junior? What the hell's wrong with
There's
this man?
visual evidence of slavery. That's
I'm
different.
messing with you, bro. I'm messing with
I'm talking about before that,
Nah, nah.
before the Americas,
I,
according to Lester.
I get what you're saying, but if
Yeah.
you start going down that rabbit hole, then you can't believe anything. You know what I
But
mean?
that's why no, but the whole point that we had, because we had this conversation in the chat, and Lester's like, when you think about it, that's crazy. And I was like, I don't think about that far back. I don't think about that. All right, because what's that gonna do for me to think about that far back? Because you were talking about like the start of the civilization and everything, about the alien
Uh-huh.
start on. That's what I'm saying. That far back, I don't know if I even want to think of that. I don't even know what I would do with that knowledge if I ever came to it.
I've always been fascinated with history, and I'm one of the people that stands by that thing where they say if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Like all this stuff, it plays a part in understanding people. It plays a part. It's to me.
Modern history, though, I agree with that to the point of modern history, to like the
See,
beginning of the times where it was
that's where
documented.
I vehemently disagree because I believe people were pretty much the same from the beginning. The means were different. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody ain't have a computer ain't mean they ain't have the same thoughts that you having right now. You know what I mean? They was just thinking about different things, but it's the same instincts, it's the same feelings. That don't change. It was like even like a point I was trying to make to my wife is like you hear about some of these emperors in Rome, and you could see how if somebody like Donald Trump was in that context, he would be doing the same thing. Because in modern times, he's trying to do what they did then, which is basically like upend the government and just take over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, dang. Almost lost my voice. I started talking about Trump and the FBI started tapping in, dog. But yeah, like that's just kind of how I like to think about it. Like every time I look at it, it's like more like I'm more into like the human side of it. Like what situations were these people in and their reactions to them? You know what I mean? And if you think about it in a practical way, that's the thing that interests me. You know what I mean? Like thinking about somebody in those times and you hear the circumstances they were in and you hear the things that they said that they did, and then you can kind of put together in your head like if it kind of makes sense or not. You know what I mean? And just even like I was hearing some dude, I forgot his name, man, but on a podcast, and he was just basically saying like one of the things about history that's funny to him is that all these things that people talk about, like even with like the alien stuff that you were mentioning, like people have they'll see like a crazy shape or something in a rock and say like they'll come to some wild conclusion that it ties to an alien civilization or whatever, and then it's like the guy was basically making the point of that might have just been somebody that was walking by and just drew a random thing just because they was bored and they just kept walking and it was just preserved there. And now we're making all these assumptions and deductions and trying to tie it into what civilization and this and that. It might have been just somebody doodling because they was bored. You know what I mean? And that's like the human side of it that I'm talking about. Like we always try to come up with these crazy stories and all this stuff. But if you really break it down to like just feelings and reactions to feelings, you can kind of understand certain things. And like I said with the history thing, like I'm real big on like I could kind of analyze certain things about the way people are, and you can kind of see where that's gonna lead just based on history. You know what I mean? Like certain people that did certain things. Like it's kind of like that thing where like you'll see it in like different forms, like in movies and shows or whatever, but it's like a joke that they always use in like skits or in movies where it's somebody trying drugs for the first time and they have like a thing in them that the people kind of know like, oh man, that we start, you open a can of worm with this one, like they know that person is going to do drugs every single day after that. You know what I mean? Like there's like just certain things that people exhibit that you just know like, all right, this is where that path leads. You know what I mean? And it kind of goes back to the things we always talk about. Like you're very conscious of making certain decisions because you know that the other decision leads down a path that you don't want to go down. And I feel like the only way you could really understand that from every angle is just to study history. You know what I mean? Because that's showing you like all these different situations people are in and how they react. And if you translate it to your time and kind of like try to find an equivalent to it, it kind of makes sense of like all these personalities and all these things people be trying to do and everything. You know what I'm saying?
I think I'm like in between. Like I like fall under the ignorance is bliss, mindset, but I also go down plenty of rabbit holes once I learn something. Like once I learn something, I'll go, what I'm saying, figure out all the details. Like I randomly learned about Sarah Bartman. She was like this black woman that was like apparently like back then, like a woman being like thickly shaped and having a big butt and all that stuff, it was considered like a freak thing. Like it was like, what I'm saying? And she was actually marketed like as a
Oh yeah,
freak show.
yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I know. I remember. I didn't remember the name, but I know what you're talking about. Where they would have like a real crazy drawing of her, like, oh, come
Mm-hmm.
see this person, and it's like crazy curves in her body and stuff like that. She was like in a
Yeah.
circus.
Yeah, and then I mean, obviously, you fast forward to today, and it's like that's the
She just a
sought after
BBW.
look. Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like you think about it from that standpoint. It's like I'll go down rabbit holes like that. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
comparing to like today. But I
But
also
that's
get
what I
where
mean. I
you're
said
coming
consider
from
that
too.
modern history. You know what I mean? That's documented. There's images of her. You can see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you can verify it's true. What was written, it's just words telling us this. There's no and hieroglyphics. And so like this is what kind of fuels my belief in aliens. One, we talked about the pyramids. Like they were so technologically advanced that there's no way they just came up with that shit on their own, because it was years before any other civilization known to man could even come up with that. So you saw when King Tut's tomb, and they opened it, and you remember his big headpiece, and they had like all the lines and stuff. So they thought it was like one big solid headpiece that they designed out of gold or whatever, and they put together. When they broke it apart, it was like 1,000 individual pieces that they sat there perfectly molded. They were all perfectly the same size, and they just kind of welded each one by one. And to have that kind of precision, that kind of intelligence and technology at that time, and it never showed up again for like 3,000 years is crazy. There has to be something there. That's the kind of stuff I like. That's the kind of stuff if I ever find out the truth, it'd be like, yep, see, that's what I thought. It was something like that. But other things like things were just written and things like that. Like I don't really deep thought in it. That's the kind of history I like.
So, like in your mind, what's like the cutoff of where you want to, learn about something?
About who runs the world.
No, no, I'm saying like a year. Like,
Oh,
how far back will you
um,
go?
I think when they started, I think it was like I think right after the Roman Empire when they actually started documenting things and paintings, where they actually had paintings of things. They painted everything. I think visual evidence other than just words is what I would consider more facts than anything else before that. I don't know. I can't name a time. I don't know when the
Okay,
time
so check
started.
this out. I don't know the name of this either, but according to what you told me, a series that I finished watching that I really like that you just triggered in my mind is a series about castles in Europe. Have you
I
seen
like
that
that.
one?
No.
It's on Netflix. It's I forgot the name, but it's basically a series
Secrets
where,
of Great British Castles.
yep. So they'll take a different
I like that.
castle in Great Britain and basically they'll do the same thing they do with the the emperor thing. They'll kind of
Um,
just tell you who built it, what it was used for, how many times it was taken, like all the different details about like how they got
yeah.
through wars and stuff, and even just like the thought of when you're establishing yourself on a land or whatever, like it's a big thing where you're gonna place the castle. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Because the strategic location of the castle is going to determine how well you're equipped to deal with people trying to take over where you're at. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just crazy seeing like how that as the years passed, it went more and more into the mindset when creating the castles, the
Yeah.
locations, like all
And that
those
just still
details.
exists to this day. There's so you can literally go and see. Now, I mean, you might not have access to it. That's something that still resides to this day, which is that's the kind of stuff I like. That's the kind of stuff I get deep thought about, because like if I see that one day, that'll be dope to just take in. But stuff that I've read about in the history, like you guys know about the Secrets of Fatima.
No.
So Fatima is what was it? Let me see. It was a small uh can't even remember right now. But yeah, three young shepherds were in a small province somewhere, and the Virgin Mary appeared to them and gave them three secrets, right? And the three secrets, um, nobody believed them. Everybody, the three little kids, and they thought they were crazy. And the three secrets was about prophecies that was going to happen, and two of them already happened. I don't want to get too deep into it, Two of them already happened, and the third one supposedly is still locked up in the Vatican to this day. And this is the true story. They have the pictures of the kids. They have the pictures of the whole event happening. They have the documentation. They locked those three secrets up in the Vatican, and the Vatican still holds that third secret about this huge. Everybody's saying it's the apocalypse, and they know exactly when and how it's going to happen. Like I think it predicted like the World War and like the plague and stuff like that. That kind of stuff, like that's so deep, so what word am I looking for? So specific. That kind of stuff, so specific that, and the fact that the Vatican has it locked up that third streak and no one still knows what it is. That's the kind of shit I deep think about. Like, damn, I wonder what that third one is. You know, that's the
That's
kind of
crazy
stuff
because I feel
that's
like what you described is this other side of the same coin of like the Roman stuff.
yeah,
It's like the same type of thing.
yeah,
It's just a different topic.
yeah. That's what I told you. Like when you were explaining it, like I wasn't trying to dog anything you said. I get it, but that specific topic is not something that I care to know, care to find out one day. I don't think that's going to change anything about the things that I think about.
So are you interested in like monoliths? Like the different ones that have been, that are in different places around the world and
Nah, not too
no?
much.
Because
No.
it's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you aware of that, Quincy? Like different monoliths around the world?
No.
So basically, like a monolith is like a big stone structure,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a whole bunch of them, like basically placed at different places around the world. And it's kind of like with the pyramids, where they don't know how they've formed those rocks. They don't know how those rocks got to where they're at, because some of the rocks are like from places that there's nowhere in that area, and they didn't have any way of importing it at the time, so they kind of don't know how it got there. But it's basically one of the common threads with a lot of these monoliths, and they're all over the world, but they all line up with the sun 2 times out of the year. You know what I mean? And the way they line up is like basically a degree or less off, but at the same time, at the time that they were built, they probably weren't a degree off.
Mm-hmm.
Even though a degree is a tiny margin of error, it was probably perfect when they built it. You can just deduce from like the sun, the cycles of the sun, the cycles of the earth, and everything. But basically, it's these things that they kind of have no explanation for why they're here. And it's one of those things like Joe's talking about. They have all these different theories. They have different writings and different things that they can kind of make assumptions from. But I think I understand what you're saying, Joe. But for me, when I look at stuff like that, I think about the human side more than anything, and I just like to make my own conclusions.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because, like I said, I kind of see what the facts are, like the stuff that is irrefutable, and then I'll take all the little extra stuff, and depending on how credible I feel like it sounds, I'll let it weigh in on my decision or not. But I'll always just think about it from the lens of like what makes the most practical sense,
Yeah.
which is like how you said, there's these certain things that even in practicality, there's what is it called? There's an aspect to it that is like phenomenal or like supernatural, like how
Yeah.
UFOs that have been sighted and the things
Mm-hmm.
that they've done, the way that they've been recorded, and you're just making movements that you can't explain. Those are the kind of things that you look at and you're like, okay, this really happened, but we just can't explain it at all.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That is, yeah, and to wrap it up, I think we don't want to go deep dive here, but like the pyramids are aligned with the Orion's belt. They literally align with the three stars on Orion's belt. Each one of the pyramids of Giza, and I
Uh-huh.
think in the pyramids in Mexico too, the Americas also align with that. And for them to have that kind of technology before telescopes even existed, before any kind of tools or resources to allow them to do that and be so precise, that's unexplainable. That is a phenomenon, and that is aliens.
You know what's something that I've thought about with what you just mentioned? Like, I feel like when people look back at these structures and like the pyramids, like you're saying, and everything, I kind of feel like they discount the slave aspect of it too much. Like when you have millions of slaves, you can get a lot of stuff done. You know what I mean? Like they have so much documentation of how, like, the large number of slaves throughout history that were at a certain time, different places. Like, and then they
Yeah.
wonder, oh, how did they do this? Bro, you got millions of people with minds
Yeah,
working on stuff
yeah, and they
in
weren't
forest.
Neanderthals.
Exactly. They were just humans, like the people
Yeah,
that were enslaving them.
and
They were,
geniuses existed forever. So yeah, it's a good point.
and even just workers. You know what I'm saying? You have
Hmm.
millions of capable workers that you are legally allowed to just slave to death. Like, these were workers that they were literally exhausting them to the point of death on these, like, when they were building pyramids, when they were building monoliths, when they're building castles. Even the castles we were talking about, bro, these weren't the people owning the castle putting the bricks together and everything, bro. They had slaves the same way building these castles that last throughout. Like you said, these castles were built 1400s, 1500s, 1700s, and they're
And
still
that's
standing
right
now.
now. Boom.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And like I said, I've always felt like people discount too much the slavery aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that's something that even I've heard mentioned that's interesting to me also, is that they've kind of, like, I've heard people hint to basically saying, like, people would rather say aliens did something than say black people did it, brown people did it, Spanish people did it. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Hmm.
there's no way these people figured this out. This
Yeah.
had to be an alien that came down here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Really good way to look at it.
and that, like, those are like the things that, like, I kind of think about when I see these things. I always find it funny how we as humans kind of like romanticize the past like it was anything different than now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just like I said, you're in a different set of circumstances, but you're doing the same thing. You're trying to survive. You're trying to have a good life. You're trying to make sure you have food, shelter. Like, the situations change, but it's the same mindset, and everybody's
Yeah.
trying to chase it the same way. You know
And
what I
all
mean?
and that's what I'm saying. So like these people were so smart and so innovative, and then they're gone, and people discredit them, and they try to make all these rumors. And now you think of the smartest people that existed in our times, Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs, and now all of a sudden they just fucking vanished before their time. And then there's just people like honestly just forgot about them. And it's like, nah, they weren't that smart. They didn't come up with shit. And that's what I'm saying. I think Tesla came up with time travel, bro. I really think he did.
Yeah.
And I think that
When you do those deep dives on Tesla, pause, he has like just crazy things and theories and supposed
way too ahead of his time.
experiments. Yeah, man, it's wild. And it kind of, like you said, way too ahead of his time. Who knows who those people were back in the time when they weren't documenting that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
that just came up with these crazy innovative concepts for building, engineering. They discovered, just, bro, I just, for me, bro, like, the phenomenal part to me is, like, how do you even discover something like gravity, orbit, navigating with the stars? Like, how do you, like, dog, you could explain that to me right now, and it would take me this crazy amount of time to catch on. You know
Can't
what I'm
even
saying?
discover how to get our cameras to work with software, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You feel what I'm saying, dog? Like, it's crazy. It's like, that's why, like, even to me, like, something like a TV is like a crazy miracle to me. Like, I think
Yeah.
we've talked about it before, but it's like, you could explain to me all the components and how it works and how I'm looking at you guys right now and you're in a completely different place. You know what I mean? And we're having a live conversation. I understand, like, it's kind of like you said in the beginning, Joe. I understand the facts that you gave me and presented to me and said, hey, this is the logic that you're going to use to make this make sense. I understand that, but it still doesn't compute in my
Yeah.
head that somebody
Yeah.
pulled it out their ass and just said, hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to put these metal components together and now you guys can talk. Like, bro, it don't make sense, dog.
Yep.
But it's crazy, man. As you could tell, this conversation has been brought to you by Puffco. But yeah, man, a little bit of follow-up pause, super pause on this topic, but a little bit of follow-up on Diddy. He stepped down from Revolt. They've been like doing like how they always do with everybody, try to find any little clip that will make you look any kind of way, and those have all been popping up. the little conspiracy theories are popping up as well, where people are saying that this is only happening to Diddy because he was trying to get control of his liquor, and
Hmm.
you know,
Mhm.
all the stuff is popping up on
Happened to
these.
Cosby because he was going to take over NBC.
Mhm.
What's it called? Michael Jackson was supposedly making a play to buy Sony Music, and then
Yeah.
he ended up overdosing.
Mhm.
It's just a lot of things popping up with this whole Diddy situation. I just kind of wanted to get y'all thoughts overall as more information has come out, as they're saying that a lot more lawsuits are getting ready to come down the pike as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we kind of knew this was gonna come. Like from the time that they kind of reopened the Pac investigation, and we was talking about Keith. What was it, Keith D, right?
Keefy D.
Keith D. We was talking about that like a month and a half ago. We kind of already kind of foresaw all of this. You know what I'm saying? Playing out as far as not obviously not the details, but just that it was about to start turning up for Diddy. Like that's just kind of how it happens, man. You know what I mean? Like it's like a domino effect. You know, it's that's cancel culture in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like one thing happens and everything else is going to come out. You know.
What do you think, Joe?
I told you, man, I felt listening to Diddy's last album, I felt he was sending a message like this is it for me. Like he predicted his demise, like the life after death. Like he knew it's like, yep, they're I'm not saying he's completely guilty of everything that's going on, but I felt like he knew they're gonna take me down. My time is coming. I've wore out my welcome, and the industry is gonna take me out. They've had enough of me. They're gonna find whatever they could find, good or bad, true or false. But I think they're taking Diddy out. I think that, and that's why I don't like how, but it's funny how Revolt in their message of Diddy step down was like, oh, he didn't even deal with it day to day. He wasn't even part of the shit, but he's stepping down anyway. So if he's not, then what you worried about?
Mm-hmm.
What you worried about then? You know, but if he's not making the daily decision, he's not involved with the day to day. Keep him a quiet shareholder and move on. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like Revolt's cool, but let's talk about it. It's not NBC, it ain't ESPN, it's not Disney. People are gonna
But at
watch,
the end of
stop
the day,
watching.
it's like the same thing that happened with Kanye and Adidas. You know what I'm saying? Like if they're associated with them, they're just trying
But
to protect their
but
brand.
Adidas is such a huge brand, though.
At the
So
end,
much
it's a
bigger than
brand,
Revolt.
period, bro. It could be Aunt Jemima, bro. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, really.
if they gotta protect their brand, you know.
I got like kind of like a little different spin on it. Um, I had to look this quote up, and I don't even know if it's the exact one, but it gets the point across. So I have here: never wallow with the pig in the mud because you get dirty and the pig likes it. So what I'm saying with that is kind of like to tie into the music industry talk and all the stuff we've been talking, just over the last, months. When you get into the throes of all this, people money hungry, power hungry, and a whole bunch of people that are down to do questionable things just to get ahead. I mean, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know what I'm saying? Like we've all seen and heard what Diddy's been on as far as like a businessman. Like you can't get to that position without stepping on some toes. You can't get to that position without doing some people wrong. You know what I mean? It goes back to the old adage: you can't double your successes if you don't double your
Mhm.
failure. And those failures have people attached to it. You know what I'm saying? And as you go up the ladder and you do these things when the time comes around, the time comes around. You know what I mean? There's certain people that they get to ride into the sunset because they conducted themselves a certain type of way on their rise and on the way up. Like you look at somebody like The Rock, bro. He has so much support and people are so behind him no matter what. Because up until this point, and as far as we know, he's treated everybody great and people have nothing but good things to say about him. He comes from humble beginnings. A lot of times that kind of puts things in perspective for people, and maybe he's just one of those people. But somebody like Diddy, where you just always kind of seen the type of time he was on. I mean, you even bring it back to like making a band.
I was just about to say
You know,
that.
it was TV, Yeah, you hamming it up for TV, but there's the type of stuff he was making people do, and just
Yeah, going for
the power
cheesecake.
the power aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Like just literally having he was operating from the mindset of like a studio, like the way artists paint the picture of like a studio head. That's how Diddy was acting and making the band,
Yeah,
like knowing that they
yeah,
have the keys to your success, and it's like, what are you gonna do for it?
yeah.
How
Yeah,
dirty are you gonna get
And
to
it's
this
probably what he had to
level?
go through too on the way up.
Yep, and then it's like you
but
could
it's that
either be
reputation,
somebody.
like the way Chappelle Show made a whole skit about it. You know what I
Yep,
mean? That we all laughed at, but we laughed because it was true. You know what I mean?
Dylan, Dylan,
yep.
Dylan.
And it's like, bro, you could either change the process or just be a part of the problem. And from my point of view, just based on the facts that we've been provided, it looks like he made his bed and he's laying in it.
Hmm.
You know, there's a certain aspect of that kind of rise that it's kind of like dealing drugs, bro. It's like where that's going, where it ends, and you can't be surprised when it goes where it's supposed to go.
Yep.
Mhm,
All
mhm.
right. The same sword they night chew, they go good night chew with.
Exactly. And it's just the reality of the situation. That's why, like, for example, even like with the whole Young Thug trial and all that stuff, it's like, even if he's innocent, even if he's guilty, whatever the case is, bro, all your music and all you've talked about is killing people, how you making people's mamas cry, all these drugs you putting on the street. Like, that's you putting that in your own music. Like, so at the end of the day, regardless of what the truth is, you made your bed, now you laying in it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like like, to me, that's the aspect that so many people, like, specifically when I'm talking to people, they love to, like, vehemently ignore that aspect of things. Like how much they have a hand in the stuff that happens. You know what I mean? And people always have that mentality, even like looking at other situations where it's like, oh, poor thing. You know what I mean? Like, I learned a long time ago, like, that whatever story you hear from somebody, the other person that they're talking about is giving that same story to the person they know.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Nobody's telling the story saying I was the bad guy in the situation. You know what I mean? Everybody's telling the story that they was the good guy because from their vantage point, they was the good guy.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's like something I've personally seen. Like I'll see something go down, and then I'll see someone tell the story. And I'm like, it's not exactly how it went down, and that's history, and that's
Exactly.
what's written, and that's what we know, and those are the facts.
And another great quote is, history is written by the winners. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Hmm.
if you're warring against another country, another territory, another empire, another kingdom, whatever the case is, and you defeat them, you're the one that's around to tell the story. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Your history is the one that's gonna stick because you're the one that stayed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that
So go
go ahead.
ahead, finish that real quick. No,
No,
I was
I
going to
was just saying that
transition.
it's just a crazy concept to me also. Like when we're hearing stuff, it's like, off rip, you're not getting the whole story.
So that's a good transition into CM Punk's return
Yes, sir.
and the
Yes,
story
sir.
he told, and now he's coming back. So it's like, was your story true?
And just to kind of catch everybody up slash let them know, CM Punk is a wrestler. So I'm gonna just give like a general explanation where anybody could understand it. You don't even gotta know wrestling. So he worked at the WWE, which is the biggest wrestling company. That's where The Rock, John Cena, all the wrestlers they're from WWE. So he was the biggest star in WWE in the late 2009, late 2000s, early 2010s. You know what I mean? He was like the only thing, like he was like the biggest star in an era where people aren't really watching wrestling like they used to. You know what I mean? So you probably never heard of him, but if you're a wrestling fan, or you're just kind of like a pop culture fan in general, you know who CM Punk is. So he was at a WWE event. He had a disagreement with the management. He walked out. It was a big deal because they're doing TV shows, you know what I mean? And they're live TV shows. So if somebody walks out on their job during a live TV show, it's gonna make it's gonna make a lot of noise, especially for the fans, you know. So he walked out. Then he does a podcast with a fellow wrestler and basically airs out all his dirty laundry from WWE, like talking about how they don't take, alleging that they don't take care of their wrestlers, that they have people working hurt, that the conditions aren't good, that he's basically accused them of doing illegal things as far as like working environment, as far as like pay and different things like that. He ended up getting sued by a couple of the people that he accused in the podcast. It was like a big lawsuit. It was a big thing. The guy that was his friend that he did the podcast with, they ended up having a falling out because of it. Like it was just a whole big situation. So years later, he starts wrestling for a rival company. And when he's wrestling at the rival company, things start happening there. Reports are coming out that he's having arguments with the wrestlers there, with the management there. There was a physical altercation backstage at an event where he got suspended. He comes back, again has another blow up, and is just unceremoniously fired, and he's gone from the second company.
What was
So
the second company?
AEW,
AEW.
Okay.
which is
And by
like
the way, just so you know, I literally it just came out that the owner of AEW, I think what Tony Khan, that's his
Tony
name. Yeah,
Khan,
Tony
yep,
Khan.
which is the son of Shad Khan, who was the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh shit.
Right. So Tony Khan, he kept saying no comment to making comments about CM Punk leaving, and apparently, as of today, he finally explained exactly what happened. And basically, they had an event called All in London a few months back, and apparently Tony Khan feared for his life to the point where they had to terminate the contract.
Yeah, he supposedly CM
Because
Punk.
CM Punk was coming at him.
Yeah, because he
Yeah,
attacked him backstage and was physically trying to attack
Oh
him.
shit!
yeah.
I haven't kept up. I didn't see CM Punk's era, and I didn't know he was in AW. So y'all got to fill me in on that.
Yeah. I didn't watch wrestling when CM Punk was on, but when I started tapping back in with wrestling was like right when he left. So I never caught any of his stuff. You know what I mean?
But he was big. Yeah,
But he
same. I
was
did.
big. Like when you look back at it, like if you look it up, and it'll probably be up your alley, Joe, honestly, because like his big like claim to fame was like he came out one time and did a promo where he just had a live mic in his hands and he just was like talking about the owner of the company. He just started like basically like what he did in the podcast after where he's airing out stuff, he did it like at the show as well.
Oh damn.
You know what I mean? Like live TV. So like that's why people liked him a lot too, because he was like he was kind of like a rebel, you know.
Yeah.
So to recap, he was in WWE, he walks out. He goes to another company, AEW, he gets suspended, then he gets fired. Now, 9 years later, he debuts as a surprise at a WWE event where people knew that he was gone from the other company and his contract expired. So theoretically, he could show up in WWE. But people were like, there's no way it's going to happen because of the bad blood, all the things he said over the years. I mean, it was like a crazy thing. Like, it was a blood feud between them. So he just shows up at the end of a show, like his music hits, and he just walks out in the WWE after 9 years. So it's been like a crazy thing in the wrestling world because of all the things I just said. You know, there's so much history there and so many things that happen. And for him to come back, not only like, it's like so many aspects to it. Because like, is he a hypocrite? Because he talked reckless about that company. Like he talked about he'll never go back. He was saying all these things that they jeopardized his health, that he almost, it was like a whole bunch of crazy accusations. And now he's back. And when he returned, the first thing he said when he picked up the mic is like that. Basically, the gist of it was, I'm home, and that he's glad to be back.
So now, so now, did everything he said in the past was true, or was it all cap?
So
Well,
something he kind, my bad, real quick. Something he kind of hinted at when he spoke on the mic was that he kind of had to leave for the changes to happen for him to come back to what he loved. So that's kind of what he alluded. He didn't say it in so many words, but he strongly hinted that him leaving and them making changes based on his leaving is what basically led to him coming back and enjoying being back because the changes are implemented. But go ahead, Quincy.
I mean, I was just thinking like just kind of put it into a real life perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like you work somewhere, you can't stand it, you don't like the working conditions, you leave. Where you go elsewhere isn't as good, and you realize the grass isn't green on the other side, and it's you know what I mean. Like I kind of take that's the way I kind of look at it. I'm not saying that that's what happened with him because he probably didn't have any other options. You know what I'm saying? AEW didn't work out,
But you know what's
and
funny about what you're saying is that when so WWE is one of those companies, to put it back in real life perspective, WWE is a company with a corporate policy and they're very
Mhm,
strict. Those types of companies.
mhm.
AEW was the place where your boss is coming in jeans. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
They gave CM Punk basically like they say, yo, they literally gave him a show. They have a show, I think on TBS or TNT, but it's a major TV show on Saturday that they gave to him. Basically said, here, you run this creatively. You pick the wrestlers that you want to be on the show with you. And this is kind of your show. You're the flagship wrestler of the show. And the show is based off you, like it's on your back.
Mhm.
Yep.
And for him to have such a tumultuous exit is just so funny to me because it's like, bro, the same thing you were complaining about in WWE that they wasn't doing for you. You go to another company where they give you a crazy contract of money and your own show, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
somehow you end up getting fired from that situation. Like,
Mhm.
dog, it's you, bro.
Yeah, eventually
Yep.
it's you.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's
Yeah.
me.
Facts, bro. That's a super fact. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. Let's get into this. Yo, that was a dope conversation. It wasn't exactly what we were gonna talk about, but kudos to y'all because dog, the way we're interviewing these topics lately, like we're getting professional. I don't know if y'all are
Yep.
listening and really tapping in, but this is like, Jay-Z on the Black album. When you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, like we honing our skills and putting them to display. You heard me, cousin?
Yeah. No, we in our bag. The only thing that's missing, I need my stew back. I need my area back. 2 weeks left.
Hey
Once
man,
I'm there, I haven't been in my element for weeks, but I'm working through it. Once I'm in there, I feel like we're back, man. I feel like we're back to we could do an hour-long episodes, part one, part two, more structured. We're getting there, bro. But we got it. We got this in the bag.
facts.
Mhm.
All right, so we're back to the Billboard Top 10 game, baby.
Oh, and I'm the last
Let's get
champ.
it.
I crushed Quincy that week because he wasn't here.
Crush them on a bye.
On the buy for real. It's that all his players that week, and I crushed him. I needed that.
All right, so y'all know the deal. Y'all guess a random year. Whoever's closer
I
goes.
like, hey, let that bitch go first. No. I'm just quoting 8 Mile. I'm just
It's
quoting 8
beef.
Mile.
It's beef.
I'm
It's
just quoting 8 Mile.
Let
Let
that
that
bitch
bitch
go
go, bro.
first.
The game getting
All
real, man. The
right,
score
let's
is.
get it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. 98.
All right, Joe.
Oh, 03.
Ooh, Joe is very. You were close, Quincy, but Joe is 1 year away. 2002.
Oh,
Boston.
let's go. It's my year,
It's
baby.
my year, cousin. All right, bet. Question number one. And the way the game is, guys, I'm picking random songs from the Billboard top 10. I'm giving you a hint. You got to tell me the artist. Whoever guesses the artist, they get to guess the song, and then that's a point. All right. So the first one is this rap rock fusion group stormed on the charts with a song for those that feel their all isn't enough. And the options are Green Day, Linkin Park, and Nickelback. Again, with the hint. This rap rock fusion group stormed on the charts with a song for those that
I think we
feel
both
their
know that.
all isn't enough. All right, who you got, Joe?
Lincoln Park.
Linkin Park, and what is the
Damn.
song?
Um, in the end,
Yes, sir.
Yo.
try so hard.
Yes,
It
sir. In the end, Linkin
it
Park.
doesn't even
Number
matter.
2 on the charts on its way up. I suspect that it hit number 1. I don't remember if in the end was a number 1 hit, but I
That was
suspect
a
that
good
it
song,
was.
though.
Yeah, it's a track.
Yes, sir. All
My
right.
workout
So
playlist.
quintuplet.
Let's get it,
Question
man.
number 2, my son. This hip hop slash R&B diva duo ran the charts together and separately in the 2000s. This timely record was one of their hits. And the options are 50 Cent and Olivia, Fat Joe and Ashanti, Ja Rule and Ashanti.
Oh,
I'll
that's
give you
Ja
the
Rule
hint.
and Ashanti.
Oh, all right, so you need the hint again, or you want to take the
Give me
guess?
the hint again. Yeah.
All right, bet. This hip hop / rap diva duo ran the charts together and separately in the 2000s. This timely record was one of their hits.
Oh, let's get it. Always on time.
Ding,
man,
ding,
you
ding.
Get it.
Damn.
Correct. Ja Rule
This
featuring
year I
Ashanti.
graduated high school, so I know everything I was listening to that year.
Hey, let's go. All right, so last one, Joe, for the Dubinsky, or if Quincy gets it, he can get the
Let me
Dubinsky.
get the steal. Let me get the steal, Joe.
All right. So, with a crossover fusion, this group had their last big hit with this rapper backed top 40 banger. And the options are I'm not going to give you the rapper because if I did, you wouldn't even have to guess. So, the options are Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and NSYNC.
Oh, man. With a rapper. I'm going to say NSYNC.
All right. NSYNC is the correct guess. I'm going to give you the hint again. And you got to give me the rapper too. Because this one, with the crossover fusion, this group had their last big hit with this rapper back top 40 banger. And you said NSYNC.
It's so hard because I got to differentiate Justin Timberlake and his features.
It's NSYNC.
It's NSYNC. NSYNC. 2002. NSYNC with a rapper. With a rapper. NSYNC featuring Nelly.
And what's the song?
If you be my girlfriend.
Damn.
Ding, ding, treat you good. Joe
Hey, let's go.
You bastard.
Let's go. That was my track.
Rats.
I still know the verse if I can remember the first line of it.
You dug deep for that one, man.
That's my year.
Yeah, you did. You did, bro. I didn't think you was gonna get it at first.
Me neither. I was hyped. I was hyped as fuck. This nigga said Nelly and my heart dropped.
That was the banger, dude. I still know
shit was a banger.
Yeah. Let me see. I gotta find it.
That was a good one.
I can tell you what it's. I'm making that pop back a bugger you need. Oh, yo, that was a track. Yo, they made some bangers.
Would you be my girl?
Yeah. You took me. I'm about to listen to that shit.
Hey man,
What's the full list? Oh, go ahead.
Pull it up. But as I pull it up, shout out to Sai, man. He pulled up yesterday for a session here at the studio, and he actually worked on a song that him and Quincy are working on. And it was sounding fire. I told you he pulled up and worked on the song, but I didn't tell you. It sounded fire. I recognized the song as one of the songs you was working on that you had sent before, and this is like a complete version of it. And I like how the song sounds. Like I said, I like what he did on it. It's dope. I was hoping that he finished it yesterday because I wanted to bounce it out and send it to you, bro. But I'll probably have it like in the next couple of days so he could wrap it up. But the full list, the week of March 30th, 2002, number 10, Can't Get You Out of My Head, Kylie Minogue. Oh, that was a little banger. I'm about to add that.
Can't get you out of my head. That's a banger.
All right, number 9, Foolish, Ashanti. Number 8, Wherever You Will Go, The Calling. I don't know what that is.
Wherever you will go. I remember that shit too.
Nah, bro. Number 7, Blurry, Puddle of Mud. I don't know what that is. Number 6, Girlfriend, NSYNC featuring Nelly. Number 5, What's Love, Fat Joe featuring Ashanti. Number 4, Always on Time, Ja Rule featuring.
Bro, this is why 50 came for their necks, bro. They was on the charts, boy.
Bro, Ashanti's on here 3 times, dog. Ja Rule's on here twice. Cuz. Number 3 was How You Remind Me, Nickelback. Number 2 was In the End, Linkin Park, and number 1 was Ain't It Funny, J Lo and Ja Rule.
And
Bro,
you
that's
want
crazy.
me when you have me, love
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yo, I'm
Man,
this isn't something I'm realizing now, but we just never talked about it. I get Ja Rule, bro.
yeah,
He was just
he was on it.
knocking out bangers on top. Like, I wasn't a fan, but I recognized that he was on top,
Yeah.
and everything he touched was gold.
And he could make a banger with anybody.
Bro, they
Yeah.
don't give him no credit,
That's
dog.
why I really
They
hate
don't
that people
give
do him like that,
no
bro.
credit.
I hate
He don't get a smattering of credit, bro. They
at
don't look at him
all.
like the legend. They don't respect him like he wasn't ruling these charts. Like, dog, he's salty, and I understand why he's salty, dog.
No, he was really dog. He had what 2 or 3 songs on top 10.
Dog, and that was
Like,
just
come
one
on.
random month in 1 year. He's on there twice, dog.
Yo, that's why I'm like, yo, people really be playing this man like he wasn't.
He did a track with
everybody's-
Bobby Brown, and that's one of my favorite tracks ever.
Yo, that's when Bobby Brown's jaw was drifting in that video, bro. Bobby Brown's jaw was drifting in that video with Ja Rule, bro. He would go this way, and then the tires in the back of his jaw would spin and try to move. And it'd be like,
His hat was this way,
"Oh!"
the brim was this way, the jaw was this way.
Dog,
Yo, get bored.
crazy, dog. But yeah, man, with Bobby Brown's cocaine jaw, we will remain butter.